What is up, everyone? How's it going? This is Watch. Hope you guys are all doing well. And today we're going to be taking a look at the 4 best smartwatches of 2018. We're going to be taking a look at the advantages and disadvantages of each of the ones that we've selected. And also, since there's so many smartwatches out there these days, we're also going to give you alternative options for each one of our selections. So if you're interested in what is the best smartwatch of the year, let's find out. Now, firstly, let's talk about what I think is the best fitness-oriented smartwatch, and that has to be the Fitbit Versa. You can get it for around $150, which is fairly competitively priced compared to the other smartwatches. It has a fairly accurate, what Fitbit calls true pulse heart rate monitor. It's an optical monitor, measures your heart rate throughout the day, and during your workouts, it'll let you know what heart rate zones you are in, whether you're in the fat-burning zone or endurance mode or rest mode. And when it comes to exercise selection and the different modes you can have, there's tons and tons of variety. Plus, the on-screen coaching is fairly handy for beginners and novices. The 2 modes that I personally use are the running mode, where it'll track your cadence via the GPS fairly accurately, and the weight or resistance training mode, where it'll essentially just track your heart rate throughout the entire session and then summarize your peak heart rate, average heart rate, as well as how many calories you've burned throughout that session, which is certainly handy. I also use the timer to time my rests in between the different sets. Furthermore, if you have a Deezer music subscription service, you can actually store up to 300 songs on the device. That means you don't have to take your phone with you when you go on your run. And uniquely, the Fitbit Versa also has female health tracking capabilities, so it'll track things like periods and ovulation cycles. And unfortunately, due to my biology, I could not test these features. But one other big highlight on the Fitbit definitely has to be the app. It has an excellent tracking system where it'll summarize your daily activity, and there's also some great fitness challenges, and there's great cross-compatibility with things like MyFitnessPal. Now, a good alternative to the Versa is definitely the Fitbit Charge 3, which has all the same core features. It's a smaller monochromatic display, does have a better battery life, 7 days instead of 4 days, and it's slightly cheaper as well. So definitely check that out if you want more of an essential fitness tracking device. Now, next we have the 2018 Galaxy Watch from Samsung. It comes in the 46 and 42 millimeter version. You can get it for around $300 for the 46 version, about $277 on Amazon for the 42 millimeter version. We tested out the 46 millimeter version, and it works both for iOS and Android. Although it's optimized for Samsung devices, there's no inherent advantage to using it with a Samsung phone unless you're worried about brand continuity. Now, some of the big advantages over here definitely has to be the custom Tizen UI. It has a rotating bezel, so it has a great control interface for the smartwatch, something very unique compared to everything else out there. We have a solid battery life, about 3 to 4 days of usage, and there's certainly some disadvantages. Firstly, it has the Bixby voice integration, which kind of sucks because Bixby kind of sucks, especially compared to the Google Assistant and even Apple Siri. And the application optimization for certain apps such as WhatsApp and Google Maps is pretty poor, especially compared to Apple WatchOS and Google Wear OS. Furthermore, if you're looking for something a little bit more affordable that has all the same UI advantages and same rotating bezel design, I would definitely check out the Gear S3 that came out a couple of years back. You typically get it for under $200. Now, moving forward, if you remember a couple of months back, we did a comparison of the new Galaxy Watch versus the Apple Watch Series 4, and the Apple Watch Series 4 comes out on top in terms of most regards. It's certainly the better integrated device, more fully featured, a better overall app optimization and integration, and it's the first watch ever to have a built-in electrocardiogram or ECG sensor built into the optical heart rate monitor on the bottom and on the digital crown, so you have 2 points of contact giving you electrical information on what's happening from a cardiovascular standpoint. And this is critical for people that have existing heart problems, and that way all this information can be synced up to your doctor if they're monitoring your Apple Watch. Additionally, some other unique factors is the 3D touch display. You also have 1000 nits, so it's a super bright display, and you also have a sapphire crystal glass surface, something that's not available in other watches, in addition to things like fall detection and a whole bunch of other factors as well. Now, for me, there's 3 critical downsides to the Series 4. One is very expensive. Even though we have the cheapest version of the 44mm Apple Watch, it's still $430. Furthermore, the Apple Watch is specifically made made for iOS devices only. I might be an outlier on this, but I would love to have an Apple Watch in conjunction with my favorite Android phone. And lastly, the battery life pretty much is terrible. You're looking at maybe about a day and a half at best. So you're going to be charging your Apple Watch on a very, very frequent basis, which definitely could be a pain in the neck. Now, there's definitely a great alternative to the Series 4, especially if you're on a little bit of a budget. The Series 3 is still a great option. It's not quite as fast. It doesn't have the latest hardware, and it's the previous design, so it doesn't have that nice sleek design as the Series 4, and obviously no EKG sensor. But if you're in it for the best bang for the dollar and you want an Apple Watch, that's probably a great direction to head to. Now, lastly, my favorite Google Wear OS device right now definitely has to be the Ticwatch Pro. It's around $250 on Amazon, and it has one main unique factor. It actually has a dual display configuration. So you have the standard AMOLED panel. It's super bright, very high resolution. In fact, the highest resolution of the other smartwatches that we encountered in this video. But in conjunction to the OLED panel, we have a film super twisted numeric LCD display. It's that display that you found on all old school digital watches, and in what they call essential mode with the display you can get up to 30-day battery life, and in the smart mode or with the OLED panel on you can get around 2 to 3 days of usage. And you also have an auto switch mode where I use it most of the time, where you can get around 5 days of usage depending upon again how frequently you're going to turn on that OLED display. Now, besides the versatility in terms of battery life, I do also like the build quality of the Ticwatch Pro. It's made of carbon fiber reinforced nylon, whatever that means. It's also IP68 certified, so it's just as resistant to water as all the other smartwatches we tested. And since it's running on Wear OS, the app integration is pretty stellar and up there with what you're going to find on the Apple Watch. I love the Google Assistant, probably the best voice assistant on a watch that I've encountered thus far. And if there are any downside, it'd be regarding the fact that it has no LTE version, which isn't a big drawback, I think, for most people. And the battery life is fairly mediocre in smart mode with the OLED panel on. It's actually worse than what you're going to find on the Galaxy Watch. And lastly, if you're not interested in a smartwatch that has dual screens, there's certainly a lot of cheaper options out there, especially these days with the Chinese manufacturers being super competitive in terms of their pricing of Google Wear OS devices. Now, in summary, we're just going to pull up a little chart over here, giving you an idea of in terms of some of the core specification for each of the watches we've selected. You're going to see the dimensions, the overall weight, as well as a lot of the commonalities. You can see that all 4 of these smartwatches are water resistant. They also have built-in heart rate monitors, NFC payment connections, as well as you can take a look at the internal specifications, the screen resolution. Now, as we stated, the Ticwatch Pro has the best battery life, especially in essential mode. The second would be the Fitbit Versa. Third would be the Galaxy Watch, and last would be the Apple Watch Series 4. The Apple Watch Series 4 probably technically from a hardware perspective is probably the most powerful smartwatch, but they're all pretty powerful besides the Fitbit Versa, which is actually pretty bare bones. It's actually using a single core Cortex M4 processor that's clocked around 120 megahertz. It only has about 2.2 megabytes of RAM. Furthermore, the Ticwatch Pro also has the highest native resolution. We have a PPI count about 407. After that, you're looking at the Apple Watch about 326, and the Galaxy Watch and Fitbit are behind those other two respectively in terms of native resolution. At the end of the day, I think the best display to my eyes is the Apple Watch Series 4. It definitely feels the brightest, especially in outdoor condition, and best color rendition as well. But at the end of the day, if I had to pick one of these out of the 4, I'd probably go with the Ticwatch Pro. One, price is great at around $250. And the second, one of the reasons why I loved the Pebble Watch for so many years was the fact that it had an awesome battery life, and we have those similar capabilities on the Ticwatch Pro. And even Huawei came out recently with a watch with the dual screen, so I'm thinking 2019 might be a trend for the dual screen smartwatch. We'll just have to see and find out. But really, other than that, guys, that's really it. Definitely love to hear your thoughts on what you thought was the best smartwatch of the year. If you're interested in terms of pricing and things like that, check out the description down below. Certainly, the space of smartwatches feels very stagnant in terms of innovation, but we'll see how things progress going into 2019 and 2020. Going to be curious to see whether smartwatches will eventually replace our smartphones. I doubt that, but perhaps in the future. Other than that, thanks again for watching. Thanks for your support, and we'll see you later. Take care.